everyone, a whole audience of probably about five, everyone by now knows how much I actually don't particularly feel comfortable doing these things, so I just waffle on until we just get through it. Everyone should know who I am, but I'm Andrea. I run SaaSy. We are doing this series of interviews. It's all about digital transformation, which is a hugely broad topic. And I realized yesterday a really negative one. I saw an article that said, "Oh, digital transformation never works." I'm like, oh, it's not quite how I thought it happened, but all right. And for us, the digital transformation means a business is using digital tools and technologies to streamline and improve its operations, create new products and services that better meet the needs of its customers, which in plain English means putting in and using the right software. Ta-da! The end.
Excellent.
Interview done. Not really. Max, please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yep. So my name's Max Bearden. I'm a sales manager at RVT Group. I've also got a kind of dual hat, if you like. I hold this title of continuous improvement manager, which gives me free rein to improve anything I like within the business, which is quite nice. So RVT Group, we provide temporary solutions to hazards on site, things where people are exposed to hazards such as dust, fumes, noise, that kind of thing. It's a very consultative approach that we take with our customers. So we're educating them as we go along. We talk to them about the scenario. We don't expect them to know about these hazards and how to control them. So we, from start to finish, we provide a service basically that ends up with our solutions on hire to them. We would be supporting industries like construction, manufacturing, defence, petrochemical, healthcare, rail, and probably more. So the ultimate aim is to protect long-term health of people and the environment, in a nutshell.
And the whole ethos of the company really aligns with my values anyway, so it's a nice happy coincidence on that front, as I found out. I love this one. What's one thing everyone should know about you but probably doesn't?
Yeah, I struggled around this one. I was thinking about it, and I've been at RVT for a long time, so there would be some that would know this, that were there at the beginning, and some that would have no idea. But so I've worked for RVT since I was 20 years old. I'm 34 now, so I won't do the maths for you. You can work that out. But I originally started at the company in the wash bay, washing down equipment when it came back from hire. So I was out there scrubbing out in the cold. So I then became operations manager, and I sat in that seat for about 9 years. And it was only in 2020 that I moved into a sales role. So as the company has progressed, we're now at kind of around 100 employees. Probably half of those wouldn't know my story as such. They just see me as this kind of sales manager. So I hope that's good enough.
Nice, I like it. Perfect timing though to go into sales just for COVID to hit.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, so you're already nervous. You get the imposter syndrome, don't you? Joining something that you've not done before, and then 3 months in, you hire just everyone offsides everything, and all falls off a cliff, and you're there going, was that my fault that happened? But it was, in a way, it was quite. It was a good time to sort of gel with the whole team because we were all going through a transition.
Yeah.
So everyone was learning this for the first time. So in that sense, I think it might have actually helped.
And what about bikes and minis?
Bikes and minis.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you want to know? That's what I spend my time doing outside of work when I can. So I've got a classic mini that I built for our wedding. We used it as a wedding car back in 2019. It's a bit of a garage queen. It doesn't get out very much, I'm afraid, but take it to the odd show and to work sometimes. And then, a couple of motorbikes in the garage as well.
Your fleet's growing now.
The fleet is growing. Yeah, I need a manager for my fleet
now. What's your favorite Apple tool and why, please?
Yeah, tricky one. there's a couple of obvious answers, and then there's some not so obvious answers. I thought I'd go for one of the obvious ones because it has to be Monday.com in my role. So for those who don't know, Monday.com is basically a project management platform, similar to the likes of Asana, Wrike, Smartsheet, that kind of thing. I think, remembering back, I think it was about 2019, end of my time in operations, and I discovered it. I'd actually viewed a few of them at the time. And I just felt that one was particularly easy for people to get along with, quite intuitive. It had all of the functionality I wanted to, and turned out at the time to be the cheapest. So makes a bit obvious sense. And to begin with, I was trying for, just a few users, and really initially for sort of high level accountability. You'd come out of a leadership meeting and it's like, right, okay, we've got some clear action points. It made sense to capture it somewhere that wasn't a spreadsheet, which was what we were kind of doing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So we brought it on initially for that. And it's so easy for you to use automations. Anyone can do an automation. I like the way that it works. So now it's fully embedded in our business. We've got right from account applications. So when someone comes onto our website, it's linked to Monday.com. Our requisition process in purchasing, budget planning for the sales teams. We do things like 90-day sprints. Even our operations, they have really got on board with it. Order picking and so on. It's all managed via that. And as well as what it was originally, for internal and external project management. So it's been brilliant. I think our operations team, they particularly the people that sort of took over when I joined the sales team, they've kind of said to me that thank you for the gift that's just kept on giving, because I'm kind of gutted that I didn't have access to it the whole time I was in operations, because it would have made my life a lot easier. But I'm glad that they're making full use of it now. So it's, the whole organisation is using it.
Perfect. And what's one of the obscure ones, the less obvious ones?
So there's one that I definitely recommend. Worked with a company called Rail Diary. Now this was actually before we even had Monday.com. So Rail Diary, I think they also go under the name Site Diary now. They originated in the rail industry, hence the name. And it's all about tracking working hours from a mobile phone when you're out on site, because you get a lot of contractors working overnight and things for blockades and all this kind of thing. And it must be a real headache to log everyone's time. We started using it for a particular customer to begin with that we're on site installing for them every single day of the year. It's like a really dynamic workplace, and we wanted to be able to give the engineers a tool that they could track all the activities that they do during a day, the ability to assign that work to various contracts, provide reports to the customer. So now we're able to give insights to the customer. They've got their own login, they get Power BI reports come through to them as well. And we can say, okay, this is how many numbers were assigned to that job, and we can charge them in arrears. So it's completely transparent for the customer. Mm-hmm. It means that we can give insights about, did we face any downtime? If so, where, was that from our side, or was it, uncontrollable events, can't use cranes because of the wind or that sort of thing. And it just gives real good information to the customer and us about how to plan our labour. So that's been really effective as well.
I've never heard of it. Written it down like
it's quite niche, but I definitely recommend it. So Site Diary, if you type that in.
Nice, thank you. We've explained what digital transformation means for SaaSy and the work that we do. What does that phrase mean for you, plural?
So I was thinking around this one in the context of RVT Group. So I don't think anyone would mind me saying that we're not exactly a tech savvy company, if that makes sense. We've used technology like everyone else, and it's in its basic forms. Everyone's been using Microsoft for goodness knows how long, but we kind of needed more. So for me, it's the transformation of making sure that we've got the best suite of technology available to use to make our processes just flow smoothly. For me, that means like removing inefficiency wherever we can, remove chances for things to go wrong. Yeah, so if it won't let you do this because it's wrong, that's just takes human error out of the equation, and ultimately enable us to grow. So it's an enabler for us. I'd say it also means that we can bring new technology to our solutions that we give to the customers as well. So if you think of our equipment is probably very mechanical in nature, the areas that we're moving into would be bringing technology to support it, so customer gets as much data from that physical equipment as possible. So that might be, feeds into their health and safety statistics, could be, ESG goals, all that sort of thing. But these are exciting areas that we're moving into.
You said that at the beginning of that there that you were talking about like putting in the right suite of tools and technology for it to be efficient and stuff. And yeah, I've seen a lot, especially at much bigger examples of I've lost my English today, where companies or teams just keep putting in what seems like the right fit of tool, but then it doesn't really talk to one another, so it then overlaps 2, 3, 4 times, and it's actually ended up adding in manual things for people where they haven't realized that it has that overlap or that breakdown where it doesn't talk to one another, which probably leads us quite nicely into integrations, right? Custom integrations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk us through something that, like an example project, either of something that's gone really well, and the impact that that's had on the business? You're starting at the end of the story and then filling in the gaps, basically.
Yeah,
something
sure.
Well.
Yeah, sure. And to be fair, I think I can link both good and bad to the same project. So this good, efficient use of time. But I think every project that you run has got risks associated, and if you don't manage them, then things can go wrong. So I'll talk about our HubSpot integration, if that's all right. So at RVT Group, we've previously used CRM functionality that was within our ERP system. And that worked for a long time. A lot of people are used to it. That ERP system has been in place since 2009. So you can imagine, over that time, the company has grown and grown and grown. And so we were pushing the boundaries of what it was intended to be. So you end up utilizing fields incorrectly, that sort of thing. I would say that we probably didn't always have the quality of data that we push for now. So there was a lot of historical bad input, if you like.
Yeah.
And then you've got the fact that it was actually a survey-based system, if you like, not cloud-based. So that limits you as well. It was quite difficult to integrate with anything. So we were kind of working off this standalone but kind of out-of-date tool. And the roadmap for that to be updated to what we would consider, 21st century was, too long, 5 years at best. So that was the project, was to look for a CRM tool in its own right. So, and I think it actually goes back to the point you were making a minute ago, is that we kind of want to be in the cloud, because then you've got, world-class tools for specific things available to you to integrate to that tool. But if you're not in the cloud in the first place, it makes integration a nightmare, which is what we found. So, so I'd say some of the ways that we got into it, bearing in mind that we aren't a tech-savvy company, so we don't have an internal IT team as such. We don't have those experts in-house. We were utilising outsourced resources. So, for instance, we used a company called Stoneseed, and we used a data analyst from them on a kind of contract basis, and we mapped out all of the processes. So, great beginning piece to do. We had current state, future state that we're going to work towards, and we got the buy-in from everyone in the company. I think that was really worthwhile doing. So that was a good win. And also he worked with us the whole way through, right the way to completion of the project, cataloging everything. So this would be like, even little things like all the things that we need to connect to from one system, the old system, what are they exactly called? and whether they fit, and then what are they mapping to in the new system. I think things like that were really proactive. We actually supplied that to the integration partner. We were able to give them this and say, here you go, this is all the homework done. I don't know if we would have achieved that on our own. We then used a company called Fulius, and they handled two parts of that project. They implemented our future state. Yeah, so they took our maps and worked with us to say, okay, so these are the workflows, and this is how we need to customize your views and all that sort of thing, reports and dashboards. So they did that whole piece with us and trained us how to use it. And then the integration between the two systems. So they're kind of two projects running at the same time to get us to an end goal. In terms of wins, the system is working really well. We've done some workshops with the team since it's gone live. General consensus is that, that it's improved their experience. I think the major benefit for most is that they've just got access to a lot more information than they ever had before. A lot of users were really impressed with the app that they can use out and about, because we do go out and about seeing customers all the time. The ability to carry out a lot of digital marketing activities from the one application. So yeah, we were using lots of tools from all over the place, and now we channel all of that through HubSpot, and there's still more to come on that. Yeah. And one of the big things, and it might seem small to some, but one of the big challenges that we had before that we've overcome is just visibility for the teams that have worked on a deal. So basically anyone that has been involved in a step of a deal, be that, the telemarketing at the front end, getting the initial inquiry, if you like, to, we sent a field salesperson out to the site to go and do a survey or to go and do a proactive meeting that helped us win the deal. And then you've got the person in the office that's raised the deal itself, the quote, and actually won that job with the customer. We're able to track all of those people and link it to the deal now. We could never do that before. So for some, it's a motivational thing. So if you initiated that deal as someone on the phone, it's you're on the phone all day long to lots of customers. It's such a boost to your morale if you know that what you're doing is working and you're getting deals that have created revenue for the company. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest wins that we've got. Do you want me to tell you some of the sort of things that didn't go so well in our experience?
That's great. We can swiftly move.
I'd like to lie. Yeah. I'd love to tell you that it was all smooth and plain sailing going along, but it wasn't. There are things that I would do differently now. I'd say a top tip: the business analyst was crucial. I think that it wasn't something exactly that Fulius had sort of said you need to hand this over. They probably would have worked with us on what they needed, but I think that working with an analyst to truly understand our business was the way to go. So I definitely recommend that. I'd say that when you're working with your implementation partner, we fell down where, like any business, I guess, communication can be a downfall. So you need to make sure that the source of truth is known. So if you're working to, this is our, this is the absolute truth of what integrates with what we want it to do. Is it a one or two-way sync, all that sort of thing. If you've got one source of truth and you all know it, I think it'll go a lot smoother. We just had a situation where late on in the project, we realized there were two sources of truth. So yeah, don't make that mistake. And probably the biggest thing in terms of achieving your goal within a realistic time frame is, in our situation, IT, CRM systems, this isn't part of my day job. If anything, I'm more of a stakeholder, managing a team of people that use this software. Bring in experts to project manage it from the off. I'd say that it was something that we tried to address early on, but again, it's probably getting the right partner for you is the big piece. So Andrea was our project manager, but she was brought on late stage. We'd got a couple of project managers before that who just couldn't give us the amount of time that was needed. Perhaps it was just too rigid. You know, they wanted to know exactly how many hours or how many days a week were needed. And it's dynamic. You know, at one part of the project, it's going to seriously increase, and other times it tailed off. And also, it wasn't, I suppose, it wasn't just I need a project manager. It was, I need someone who has got a lot of experience in integrations and, you know, this kind of platform, if you like. So yeah, that would be my advice to you. And thank you, Andrea, for all of your hard work during the for the project. It was hard at the end, wasn't it? But we got there.
Well, hearing you talk, it just kind of reminds me anyway that, like, it sounds, I suppose I'm quite reductionist in my thinking, right? It sounds quite simple on the face of it when you hear the sentence, oh, we took in a system and we added a CRM and then we linked the two together, right? Whether that's an ERP or whatever. That in itself sounds really simple, right? How simple was that? How long did that take though? You know, like it was such a different undertaking because of all the complexity and the data and everything else that you've just spoken about. So that one sentence is incredibly, you know, again with the English today, misleading, I suppose, if that's all you know, sort of here. But there was a lot that went into it.
I think it would be different for if you're putting a system like that in place from scratch. Say you're a startup or something like that. You'll probably tailor your needs to the platform that you're putting in place. Whereas for us, we very much had a lot of things that we do every day that we need to keep happening. And so it had to be able to facilitate all of that. Yeah. And hire is a bit of a funny game in itself, you know, so it's not transactional in the same way. It's, you know, a lot of it's project led. Everything that goes out is going to come back. So there's nuances to it that we needed to make sure we met, you know.
Yeah, we've spent quite a lot of time in the last year or so trying to really identify exactly what we're really good at and what we offer. So we're now talking about this buy, build or integrate, because it comes back to everything you've been talking about, and it makes me think of a meeting that I was at with a past company maybe 5 years ago, and we'd gone in to see a candle manufacturer that had multiple sites. They had multiple warehouses, multiple sites, and they needed something that basically the more they talked about it, the more it sounded bespoke. So you normally think of, well, anything that someone does, any company, established company, there must surely be something off the shelf that can go plug and play, right? You implement it and off you go. And it's almost never that simple, because there is something else to link it to, or something to tailor it to, or in your case, the hire versus the sale model. There's always some nuance there that needs to be taken into account. And a lot of the time, it ends up that you spend quite a lot of money, not in your case, but you spend quite a lot of money kind of square peg round hole scenario with an off-the-shelf one. If you haven't, if it's not the startup that can do that, where you tailor it to what the system offers and does. And I think a lot of that gets forgotten about in the glossy sales process of any of these tools, because that's the job, right?
Yeah.
Can it do this? Yes, it can. But then you kind of you nuance it and you do the workflows and everything like that, and it turns out it's a little more complicated than that.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely came through.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, the answer to any question that we had was, yeah, we can do that. But the person, you know, that wasn't necessarily translated to the implementation partner. So some of it you end up coming back to, don't you? And some of it, it could do that in a, you know, if we were to do this, but then that adds lots of extra steps. So you end up saying, oh, is it worth it?
Yeah.
But no, I think we're quite lucky, because I think what we found when we were looking for said HubSpot, we did compare it with lots of others, and we deliberately went for one which ticked all of the boxes. It was doing everything that we wanted it to do, but it also has a lot more functionality within the subscription that we've already got. So we can play around with it and introduce things that, you know, because you don't know what you don't know, do you? You know, if you've not used it before, there might be things in there that you go, oh, do you know, I didn't even think to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Process or any reviewed process, revisited process when you start using something, with a little bit of time, you then kind of have a little, almost like a light bulb moment, right? Of, oh, I didn't think about this particular bit, and it already offers that. Can we utilize that? And then it's an evolving thing. It grows arms and legs like the Kraken. Last question. What's your favorite hack or pro tip that you wish you'd known 3 years ago?
Regard to HubSpot or regard to anything at all?
Anything to do like digital roller coaster or anything to do with that sort of project or just a general life hack.
Just a general life hack. I'm probably the worst person to ask.
I had to keep the toddler entertained at the barbers.
I probably do everything the hard way. Hey, I'll always start by doing it the hard way, so that you understand. But I don't know. Do you know, little thing. I create a lot of presentations and things that I give to customers, and you obviously have to make sure you don't fall into the normal traps of presentations and too much information, all that sort of thing. But I'm trying to think. It was 3 years ago. It might have been more. And this is really junior hack, but the snip functionality. Before I ever knew about that, someone told me, why are you screenshotting? And then I've got three screens.
Yeah.
So I've got to crop all of them out and get into one little image. Snip was a game changer.
Love Snip. It's brilliant. I even still now use it all the time.
Yeah. There you go. So if you don't know what Snip is, look it up, search it.
Game changer. I have a Chrome plugin called Go Full Page for when I want to take a screenshot that isn't a snip, but it can't then scroll through the page. It scrolls and then screenshots the entire thing for you, even if it's off your screen. It's wonderful. Yeah.
I'm learning every day.
There you go. That's my one. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us. Much appreciated.
You're more than welcome.